webinar will be on forensic voice analysis. So to understand for voice analysis and what is voice, we have to first understand what is sound. So we'll be taking over the nature of sound and how exploring voice and speech production, as well as some important terminologies that are used in forensic ways to analyze a specific sound or frequencies. And also we'll be acquiring how acquiring of evidence, sound evidence or voice evidence is done. So let's first come on to what is sound. And we'll understand how sound actually works. So sound is basically something that is in vibrations, that is traveling in a medium. So if in certain manner we can see air is a medium in which vibrations are being caused by us, and then it is being propagated to another individual, that is a receiver. So sound is something that basically vibrations that are traveling through a specific medium. Next we have to understand the nature of the sound and to understand how sound actually works. We have visualized sounds on basis of multiple graphs. A few of the graphs are wave graphs and stegnographs. So to basically understand and mix sounds together, we have propagated a graphical way to understand what actually goes when a sound propagates from one medium to another medium, or a sender to a receiver. So let's work towards how production of voice works. So basically, our lungs are the main mediators of the air pressure that is released through the trachea and then to the larynx, in which basic phonation or basic tone of voice is being produced. And furthermore, it carries through the modulation, which is done in the via nose, nose, lips, and teeth, with tongue also. So the production of voice is basically the basic difference between voice and a sound would be voice is something which is understandable and it is always modulated. A sound can be a monotonous frequency. For example, in sound, if we draw a graph of sine graph, it will be a monotonous beep sound that is usually used in radio transmissions. But if we talk about voice, voice may be implemented by a voice that is made by us, a voice made by a car or horn or something. It's basically a frequency that can be easily modulated in upcoming methods. So the first step of the production of voice after the air pressure is released is phonation. Phonation is the utterance of speech sounds. So to understand phonation, we might have we are able to differentiate people in different manner. For example, aged person and a very young person will have a different phonation. The amount of capacity in lungs of aged person and a very young person is very different. So the frequency and the pitch of any individual is being made just by a phonation, is being decided by a phonation. So it is basically the tension between two larynx and in the larynx as well as the vocal cords, the relaxation and the elongation of the cords, which produces a hum sound. So it is very unique to every single individual, and you might have seen that people having a hum sound in the bass that comes in the sound is from the phonation itself. Next comes the articulation. It's basically changing of our shape. It's basically voice modulation, sound modulation. To understand it in a very layman language, we can see the graph, see the picture here. The lips, tongue, and oval cavity, soft palate, and nasal cavity all are something that is directly proportional to the articulation. Next comes the pitch. So this is a very forensically important topic to be covered in this parameter. The pitch is basically the highest and the lowness of the sound. So, for example, a female's voice would be much more higher frequency as compared to a male voice, just because of some characteristics that are developed after teenage, as well as a person who is singing in an ambient voice, as well as a person who is just singing a rap song would be way more different, because the pitch of both of them works in a very different manner. As well as, for example, a basic example of this would be a guitar which has 6 strings, and which the topmost string has the lowest frequency and the lowest string would have the highest frequency. So it's basically a vibration in which the oscillation of the sound is either compact or very wide. The lower the frequency, there are high chances of it to travel between mediums, as well as at a very long distance, long area, as compared to a very high frequency, which usually dampens and fades when contracting to different surfaces. Now, formats, these are basically vocal tract resonance frequencies. And this aids into analysis of forensic analysis. Now, what actually happens is every single individual has a different way of pronunciation, as well as a different way of saying even the vowels, consonants, and basic words. So, in my case, if I say A, E, I, O, U, it would be different as compared to some other individual who says A, E, I, O, U. So, these are speakers identification markers that help us analyze that help us analyze how these two individuals are different from one another. The lowermost format shows how phonation is the lowest format shows how phonation works, and the above 3 or 4 or 5 formats show how the modulation has been done to the voice. And this analysis is always done on the spectrogram. Now, this will also help us identify the age of the individual, as well as this will also help us identify the uniqueness of any individual. So, for example, a person usually says hum, and e and o in a very different manner. Will have a different formats, or number 2, 3, and 4, in a very different way as compared to any other individual. One is basically a phonation, and it is unique to a single individual itself. So, coming back to another way where we'll be analyzing speech. So, speech can be basically analyzed in 2 ways: comparison and identification. So, comparison is the only basic way where you understand how forensically you are able to compare 2 individuals, or expected evidence, or a sample. And it is one of the most sounding procedures that is being legally done currently also. So, why comparison? It is much more easier. Second of all, you have to analyze the evidence, and comparison also helps us differentiate acoustic features, which is way more easier as compared to identification of some other voice where you don't have a basic source. So, in identification, you are going in forms of language identification, gender identification, enhancement of speeches, and steganography. So, a very free tool that is available is Audacity, in which you can identify any given voice. And this also, you can identify language that is obviously human based, as well as gender identification. The new thing you can do is steganography. So, what steganography is basically a voice or a basic sound is being computerized or made in certain way where you are able to hide a specific message into the sound file. So, I'll be showing you in after just after completing this. So identification also is very important in spotting keyword and several behaviors that are specific to any individuals. For example, a person who says too much or too much or anything else that is very characteristic to another specific a specific person helps us identify that the specific person is the suspect or not. um, First, in a procedure, specific procedure, identification is done, then comparison is done. Uh, it is a formulated area, a formulated way in which identification first. Identification helps us categorize. If we have multiple samples, for instance, it will help us categorize those into different means, and then comparison can be done. Another way is how you are acquiring the evidence. So in legal matter, either the evidence is being provided, which is already has been admissible in court. So suppose we have a call recording, or we have a WhatsApp call recording, or we have a normal voice recording, or a voice that is present in a video. There are many ways where you can examine provided evidence. First of all, there must be a suspect as well as the evidential item. So we will have two or more assets that we have to compare between each other. And provided evidence can also be done just for signography, or can also be done just uh, for for basic voice recognition and age estimation, as well as it, as well as sorry as well as gender identification, as well as language identification. So in this, basic parties are being two parties are being involved, in which the suspect and the evidence have been taken from multiple sources, and many sources, at least 5 to 10 sources, are being compared at same at the same time. So what happens if you don't have evidence that is being provided to you? The one thing you can do is currently is you can a method that is admissible in court also. You can have the person which is consensually giving you the evidence seated in a very controlled environment. For example, if you have any individual in a very crowded place, so you can simulate a similar place via adding speakers around. So it becomes a very diligent way in which you are able to record everything. So you have to simulate similar ambience, similar sounds and recording conditions to understand how disputed recording is comparing to the original admissible, the control environment recording. So first of all, recording conditions have to be maintained. The loudness or the silent area, or some crickets are going in the background, for example. Many many situations can happen. So another would be consent. The obviously the individual that is giving the evidence to you consensual has to be consensual, and has to be made under paper, has to be signed over an NDA or something, and multiple samples have to be taken. So we'll be focusing on how the samples are being taken. For example, I have a recording which says, "Hello, my name is Digvijay, and I was born in 2002, and now I'm doing this, and now I did that. I have this." So, in a very broad way, I'll be drafting a paragraph which will have every single word that I have right now, that I've spoken right now, that is present in the evidence itself. So I'll be comparing every single word. I'll be comparing every single stop, every single exclamation mark, in which I'll be either I'm excited, or I'm down, or I am in some very agile way, or there are multiple scenarios in which I'll be stating. I'll be asked to give a evidence. So one more thing I'll be doing is I'll be comparing AEIOU. So I'll be reciting a full ABCD as well, in a very fast manner as well as in very slow manner. So these are some ways in which I'll be acquiring multiple samples, but it is advised to collect multiple words that are that are similar in the evidence itself. So while comparing both of them, we'll be able to analyze it in very deeper and very understanding manner. Also, a documentation has to be done from the start, in which every single recording and video recording as well as witnesses have to be there at the time of recording. So this is a basic code procedure that you have to follow. Regarding the controlled environment, one more thing I want to add is when any individual is suffering from tremors or is in a very shock. I have evidence of an individual that is suffering from tremors or is in shock at the moment. So that cannot be reciprocated in a controlled environment, but it is also advised for the individual to speak in a very mellow manner as well as a very low manner. So some sort of likeness should be there in the environment. For example, I have evidence of a recording where the person is at a gunpoint. So the formation of words and the articulation would be way more different to a person who is speaking in a normal way. So I have to control the environment in such a way that I am able to I am able to compare both of them in a very normal way. I cannot really point a gun in a controlled environment. So I have to instruct the individual that is giving the evidence to speak in a very soft manner as well as to speak in a very rapidly manner. So that is one of the categories that we have to follow. Next is the analysis software. So in this webinar, I have taken open source softwares that are easily available. There are basically three softwares that are widely famous for analyzing of sound. First is Audacity, second is Sonic Visualizer, and third is Pratt. All three have their capabilities and their disadvantages. So I'll be shifting to Audacity first. So this is a very unique software that is usually used by music producers to edit music as well as record music, because it has support of wide varieties of codecs, as well as it also has support for a wide variety of audio file extensions. So this is done for noise reductions as well as steganograph analysis, as well as steganography analysis, as well as comparison of mono and stereo analysis. So what this has the capability of converging stereo audio into a single mono audio that makes it way more easier for us to compare. For example, I have recorded consensually recorded individual that is in stereo audio. I'll be converting that into a mono audio into this, because in evidence I would have a call recording that is always saved in a mono audio, and comparison and analysis of a mono audio is way more harder than a stereo audio. So to balance things out, even things out, I'll be shifting this into stereo mono audio. Audacity also has the power to visualize the audio to steganograph, as well as it also has some specific effects for audio to fade in and fade out. I'll be showing you a steganogram analysis right now. Steganography analysis, sorry. 1 second. So I have this sample. Now this sample is unplayable because it's basically a hidden message. So I'll be running Audacity 1 second. So the interface looks like this. So I have one noise removal and reduction option here, in which it suppresses a sound. So for example, I have a call recording or any specific stereo recording in which there is too much noise at the background, or there is a static noise that in the background. This will reduce the noise to a greater extent, but it is not really great at doing it. It might be getting a false positive or false negative results as well. And there might be a chance it will actually suppress the original voice also. So it is not really advised, but it can be done for a clearer identification of what the individual was actually speaking or in what manner the individual was speaking. So coming back to the signography analysis, so I have this sample here. I load it into the Audacity. So it basically represents a normal voice that is in graphical manner. So I'll be analyzing what actually it is. So if I go into a multi-view, I'll be able to see there is a hidden message over here. So it's basically a voice that has a name, once again, that has Hotel California written in it. So this is basically steganography. So the individual has somehow made a beat or sound from either FF Studio or in his home itself, and converted that into a steganograph, into a basic audio, big sample audio that may be transmitted to anyone, and other person can easily decode it. Some terrorists or some other organizations that do malicious activity do use this, and this was also being used in way back in 2005 2006 itself. Sorry, way back in 2002 itself. So this is one of the software that is Audacity. You can use it, play around with it, and you'll understand how it goes from solo audio. You have multiple effects in it, and you can convert audio. You can do fading, pitch, tempo. You can do n number of things through this software. As well as I have another software that is. So the other software is Pratt. This is basically for identification and comparison. Sorry, and this is a very free tool, and you can also download this. This is something that forensic experts usually use this. So what actually it does is that a specific sound sample is given, in which comparison can be done on basis of formats, pitch, intensity, and frequencies. So this software gives all of the above. And I'll be analyzing some sounds right now. But Pratt has a major uphand over the Audacity, because it is basically designed for how formats and pulses can be done. So audio pulses and audio frequencies can be easily analyzed in this, but the editing part is way more better in Audacity. So if you have a specific audio sample, one can do is just segregate the audio in Audacity, save it as a file, and then load back it in Pratt. So it becomes a way more easier way to analyze everything that is in the audio. So I'll be opening Pratt. Here, I've already opened a Pratt window. So basically, this is the way it opens up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you audio sample that is in English and in Hindi as well. So 1 second. So this is a sample that is in English.
It is a process in which the solvent particles move from the less concentrated solution to the more concentrated solution through a semi-permeable membrane.
So this was a sound sample that was in English, and this was a sound sample. This is a sound sample that is in Hindi.
एक मिनट guys, पहले मुझे बताओ कि अब फाइनल डिसाइड क्या हुआ है हॉस्टलर्स? तुमने जाके बात की है ना सर्वर से, अब क्या डिसाइड हुआ है? तुम लोग दे रहे हो या नहीं दे रहे हो, ये बताओ. और सभी हॉस्टलर्स क्या सभी अपना बताओ कि दे रहे हैं या नहीं दे रहे हो, फाइन क्या कर रहे हो सब.
So this might be a call recording or a specific normal recording that has been done, or a WhatsApp voice recording that has been downloaded in. So what I've done is I have segregated every single thing in this sound, in which I have segregated the A's, or let me just maximize it. I've segregated the A's in the sound A and O and A and E. So I've segregated every single sound from Audacity and I've put back into this. And now I'll be analyzing both of these the small components. So I'll be opening one sample here and the other sample here. So this one, the sample here is the English one, and the sound here is A. And this sample is from Hindi one, and this is also A. So one thing we can see is the blue line that is being represented on this graph. So represents the pitch of the individual. So if the pitch of the individual is similar, there is a high chance that the individual is same. If this differentiates, that means the individual might be different. And we can see some dots here. These are formats that I've told you priorly. Formats, this is the first format that is in the base, and this will decide the phonation frequency, which is usually similar to the, which is usually same in the individual, even if he is speaking a different language. The above formats, this number 2 and number 3 formats, are basically those that are articulated and produced in a different manner. So one first verification is done where we can see that the pitch is basically the same, and the first format lies between a range of 1090 hertz and here also 1100 something hertz. So the first format is also same, as well as this the pitch is same, makes it way more likely that both of the individuals are same. And one of the most important things that we have to consider here is that we cannot assure that individual is 100% same, because the phonation as well as visualizing the sound is not actually 100% accurate as compared to something that can be done in calculations. So it is to basically prevent 100% analysis, will be saying that it is more likely to be same. And most likely is that basically means that yes, it's basically same, but we cannot 100% assure that yes, this is the same recording. Even if we have the same person saying same things at the same time, until and unless the hash of the recordings are same, we cannot say that the individual was same. So voice modulation has to be like this one. So one of the example was this. This was a sound in the Hindi, and this was the in English. So I'll differentiate one or two more. This is the O sound. I'll open it once again. So this is the O sound in English that has been recorded, and this is the O sound in Hindi that I have recorded. So I've just segregated the sample directly from Audacity, and I've put them right here. So the pitch seems to be same, 2743 hertz as well as 2493. Somewhat the pitch might be a little bit up and down. 100 or 150 hertz up and down would be same, would be considered same. So the first format here lies roughly around 800 to 900 hertz, and the first format here also lies between 900 to 800 hertz. And the second format can be ignored here, because yes, the exact pitch and the frequency of the way of talking is way more different in each other, but this also seems likely to be same from one another. Similarly, we are going to compare double A, that is A, in English and Hindi. So this is a different sample that I have taken. So we can see the first format here is at 1140, and here it is in 940. So he seems to be a very huge difference, because the audio here is different. So the individual that was speaking here is different to the other individual here. And we can also here the pitch is missing for some reason, but the pitch also of the individual is same. Here we can see the second format lies around in 2280 hertz, and here it lies around in 1879 hertz. So it basically means that the individual on the right hand side is different from the left hand side. So the derived pitch may not be visible here, but it is advisable to understand it through formats and other intensity if given clearly here, which is given clearly here. We'll also be analyzing E sounds here. So here we can see that the sound of from E in English and sound from E in Hindi. Here we can see that we don't have. I think there is some technical issue. Somehow we don't have the pitch here, but the first format lies very high at 3,294 hertz, and here also it lies around 3,400 to 500 hertz. So it basically means that the individual is same here, but but the there may be cases where you will not be getting the pitch or the intensity. Let's play the audio first. So yeah, it's really not audible because it's a very small clip that I've taken, but indirectly you will be able to analyze in some certain manner that yes, the individual seems to be same. This will help you prove that yes, the individual is same, but that is another way of understanding. So this was one of the very easy tools to understand how sound actually is analyzed, and we'll be moving towards the control sample again. So one thing I told you that any individual that has tremors or any other individual that lacks the capacity to speak might have issues regarding the way of communicating at even in the controlled environment. So I have certain samples that may reciprocate in that manner. So I'll be comparing phonics here. Once again, I'll be loading the sample here. Closing it. Here you can see. Now these two samples are way more different as compared to the other samples. We'll be listening to the samples first.
Is a process?
No, this is wrong. This was the same, sorry. So one second, I'll be opening. These are a certain way in which we have recorded different sounds. So I'll be taking this as a database for now. That these are certain sounds that I've been recording in a way manner where I have understood that these will have certain frequency. For example, sound of a cat, which is being made by an individual, will be way different. Will have a way different phonations as well as way different formats as compared to any other individual. So if in case I have in future have an individual that says a cat and have the call recording of himself, I'll be able to compare this over the other. One second, I just need to open certain files. So one question that might be arising right now is what if the voice is modulated? So in case the modulation of voice is done by a software, it is uncomparable. We are hands down. We cannot compare the sound. If it is not modulated, if it is edited, we can understand that the particular sound has been edited. So what I did was that in this sample, I have two sounds that are listed here. Now what I've done is that I've merged both of the sounds in an editor. So in this case, you won't be able to analyze the analyze what.
क्या दिक्कत है भाई भाई कैसे करो इस चीज को मैं तो बताऊंगा कि उससे क्या हुआ
So this is in a normal human being, you won't be able to understand that if two or more recordings have been combined together. We to analyze it, we'll have to go in multi-view again in Audacity itself, and we'll have to analyze this spectrogram. Now to analyze this, I'll be zooming into the spectrogram. We'll have to understand that the spectrogram, when the frequency of the spectrogram reaches to the top, which is right over here, seems to be right here. So this means that the audio clip has been modulated just from right here, because the phonation of the previous or the basic frequency of the previous audio is way different to the other. So when two or more samples have been merged together, creates a specific bar that is written that is visible here. And in case a person that fades out the sound, the graphical the spectrogram will be way more unique. So I'll be fading this. I'll fade out this, so we can understand that yes, this audio has been fade out to this. I'll be zooming it for better explanation. So in this, we can easily see that the fading has been done because we have some remnants of the spectrogram. I'll be doing this. Previously, it was this, and when we fade and overlap, even if we overlap the audio while fading into one another, we'll be seeing a U curve in the spectrogram. This will help us understand that how exactly the voice has been edited or modulated. Another thing that I wanted to share was, yeah. So this is an example where the audio has been spliced. This means that it is either inversed or not. So in Audacity, if you open the specific audio, we'll be seeing very unique fringes. So this doesn't really seem to be a normal voice that is being modulated. You might be seeing very uneven fringes that are being given. That is just because of when a person modulates the specific or splices the exact same audio that is given. But we can also see that the audio has been edited in a certain manner, which is visible here also. So there may be many cases in which the voice has been modulated or edited. It can easily be analyzed in spectrogram itself. There are many spliced screenshots also. I have certain screenshots of them. You can see that the audio here is spliced. So either conversion of the audio is done into mono or stereo audio, as well as the splicing of audio can be done, as well as the elongation of fading in, fading out, or changing of frequencies can be done. That is always present and very visible, very clearly visible in the spectrogram. This will also help us in comparison and identification, and also authenticate the exact same samples. So for now, that's all. I'll be wrapping up the session now.
Thank you for watching the webinar. Subscribe to Third Eye Techno Solutions for more insightful webinars and content.